Good day to everyone. So in this video, we will be learning about saturated hydrocarbons. So sa video ito, we will have an introduction to saturated hydrocarbons. Then we will describe these simple alkanes and introduce to you how to name them following a certain group, some set of rules. Then also towards the end of this lesson, we will be discussing about cycloalkanes and the physical properties of alkanes in general. So let's have a description on ano ba yung tinatawag natin mga hydrocarbons. So from the name alone, we have hydrocarbon. So these are organic compounds that are mainly composed of carbon and hydrogen. So yung structure niya, wala kang makikitang ibang element kundi carbon and hydrogen lang. That's why they are called hydrocarbons. So there are two major classes and we will describe each as we go on with this lesson. We have yung tinatawag natin mga aliphatic and then aromatic hydrocarbons. Now, ano nga ba ang aliphatic? Ano nga ba ang aromatic hydrocarbons? Ano ang pinagkaiba ng dalawang to? Okay, so atin na kilalanin yung mga subgroups ng hydrocarbons na to. So nabanggit natin kanina na itong hydrocarbons have main classes. We have the aliphatic and the cyclic. Unahin natin dito sa aliphatic side, which are open chain hydrocarbons. May subgroup sila na saturated at unsaturated. Sa unsaturated, meron lang isa, yung tinatawag na alkane. These are open chain hydrocarbons na meron lang single bond between carbon atoms. Example here is a propane. Sa unsaturated side, meron silang dalawa, an alkene and an alkyne. Ang functional group naman ng alkene, we have double bonds between carbon atoms. Example dito, propene. Sa alkyne naman, meron siyang triple bond. Example dito, propyne. Okay? So those are the subgroups for open chain or aliphatic hydrocarbons. Tumako naman tayo dito sa cyclic or closed chain. Meron tayong alicyclic or aromatic. Sa alicyclic, meron tayo ring tinatawag na saturated alicyclic at unsaturated alicyclic. Sa saturated, meron tayong isa, cycloalkane. Sir, anong pinagkaiba ng cycloalkane sa alkane? Kasi nabanggit mo kanina may alkane din sa open chain. Yung cycloalkane is a closed chain version ng alkane. Ibig sabihin, hydrocarbon siya, single bond lang between carbon atoms, pero cyclic siya, closed chain siya. So, kaya inad natin yung prefix na cyclo. So, example dito ay cyclobutane. May unsaturated din na cyclic. We have cycloalkene, cycloalkyne. Ano naman ang cycloalkene? Tama. Pag cycloalkene, closed chain siya, tapos meron double bond between two carbon atoms. So cycloalkane naman, closed chain siya, tapos merong triple bond between carbon atoms. Yon. That is alicyclic subgroup. Sa aromatic side naman, meron tayong tinatawag na benzene ring. Sa benzene ring na to, meron yung piatos. Parang piatos. 6 carbon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. With 3 alternating double bonds. Benzene ring. These are lahat ng aromatic hydrocarbon na merong ganito, they belong to benzenoid. Ito yun. Meron siyang benzene. An example given here is toluene. Sir, paano kung yung aromatic or close chain siya na hydrocarbon, pero hindi naman siya, wala siyang benzene ring. Wala siya nito, wala siya niyan. So they belong to a subgroup called, another group known as non-benzenoid. Yan. Kagaya nito, azulene. Ilang ba yung chain niya? Meron ba ng double bonds? Kaya lang, ilan ba yung carbon? Itong side na to, we have 5. Dito, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. O, 7. 7 nga. Yan. So, hindi siya benzene ring. So, they are non-benzenoid group. Okay? So, those are the hydrocarbons. The benzene, non-benzenoid, cycloalkyne, cycloalkene, cycloalkene, alkyne, alkene, alkene. Two main groups, aliphatic and the closed chain or cyclic hydrocarbons. Clear? So, among those subgroups, una nating papag-aralan ngayon yung tinatawag na alkanes. So, alkanes are saturated hydrocarbons. Saturated because they are fully bonded with hydrogen atoms. Kumbaga, puno na yung bond nila. Tapos, na-maximize na siya ng hydrogen atom. Or with another carbon atom. Single bond with carbon or single bond with hydrogen atom. So, na-maximize na nila lahat. Na-saturate na siya. Kaya sa tinawag na saturated. So, therefore, kung wala na-saturate na yung available bonds or valence electron niya, they can no longer react with another hydrogen to establish a bond. Okay, so they had the maximum number of bonds already. But those bonds are single bonds only. Okay, walang double bond, walang triple bond. Single bonds with C or hydrogen. So yung mga name ng alkane natin na 4 or less have a common names for alcohol. Magpareho lang sila. But for alkanes na may 5 or more na carbon atoms sa kanilang structure, we use the Greek prefixes like penta, hexa, hepta, and so on. So, alkanes have a general formula CnH2n plus 2. Ano ba ibig sabihin niyan? Where n is the number of carbon atom. So, meron tayo na molecular formula. So, let's say an alkane with 1 carbon atom. 1. Hindi na natin sulat yung 1 ha. 1. Pero for discussion purposes, sulat na natin. So, H. Ilan kaya ang H niya? 2 times 1 plus 2. So, ibig sabihin, meron kang molecular formula na CH4. Tama? Paano naman, sir, pag dalawa? Dalawang carbon, ilang H? 2, 2 plus 2. So, ibig sabihin, C2H, 2 times 2, 4 plus 2, 6, C2H6. Ano pag tatlo? C3, H, 2 times 3 plus 2. Ibig sabihin, C3, H, ilan? 2 times 3, 6 plus 2, 8. Paano pag apat? Apat, we have C4, H, ilan? 2 times 4 plus 2. C4, H, 2 times 4, 8 plus 2, 10. Yan. So, those are the molecular formulas. So, yun yung guide natin. That's how we use CnH2n plus 2. Pag cycloalkane, C2H2n lang. Wala na yung plus 2 kasi since we form the closed chain, so mawawala yung 2. Later on, when we discuss cycloalkanes, we will have more examples of those. So some of or most of our alkanes can be found in nature. So example na naibigay sa module nyo ay yung undecane or undecane. Undecane, we have an alkane with 11 carbon atoms. So ito yung ball and stick model. Bilangin nyo 11 yung black. Kasi those are carbon atoms. So, example, anticane is an example of pheromone. Ano ba yung pheromone? Yun yung chemical na ginagamit usually for communication ng mga animals. Example dito ay yung tawag dito? Yung mga ants. Diba? Ang perfect example dito yung kape or anything sweet. O let's say kape. Tapos iniwan mo sa table for quite some time. Tapos binalikan mo, dami ng langgam. Wala namang langgam kanina. Diba? Paanong yung colony ng langgam na nakapila mula sa baso hanggang doon sa lugar nila, diba? Kung saan silang galing. Di ba yung line, sinusundan nila papunta sa baso. Paano nangyari yun? Paano nasundan ng colony ng ant yung coffee mula nasa table? Tapos hindi lang isa, maraming langgam. Di ba? Balik-balik, the same ang dinadaanan. Ano nangyari yun? So, ibig sabihin, kung mayroon tayong tinatawag na army ants, sila yung naghahanap ng food. So, pag nagtatravel sila to look for food, so they release a chemical, organic chemical, pheromone, sa dinadaanan. So, they release that. Tapos, hanap na yung food, so mabalik nila sa colony. Susundan yun ng other ants. So, mapapansin nyo lahat na sundan. That's how they use it for communication. Ginagamit yan din ng mga sa bahay. Yun. Ipis. Yeah. So, yun. Pheromone. Tapos, subukan nyo na punasan yung, kunwari, di ba may line na ants dyan. Subukan yung punasan yung one part of it. And then they are lost. Mapapansin nyo, hindi sila tutuloy. Kasi wala na sila. Hindi nila masusundan yung daan. Ang gagawin lang, they make another way. Diba? Pero, hindi sila didiretso, diba? Kung mapapansin nyo. Or magkakagulo sila. Kasi nawala na yung chemical. Pinunasan mo na. Subukan nyo yan kung hindi nyo pa nagagawa. And another naturally occurring alkane is the cyclohexane and C6H12 molecular formula, and it's found on mangoes. Yeah. Naturally found on mangoes. Now, kilalanin na natin yung mga members ng alkane family with fewer than 5 number of carbons in the chain. The simplest is methane. Ang methane is the simplest alkane with just 1 carbon atom bonded to 4 hydrogen. Yeah. And next one is an ethane with 2 carbon atoms. Yeah. And this is the 3D representation in the ball and stick model. So 3D representation, kung mapapansin nyo, meron tayong dark, bold bond, and then the dotted. Ang ibig sabihin na itong darker is towards you, towards the front. Itong dotted, nasa likod. Itong just line on the plane. Kung papansin nyo, so you imagine the 3D. Itong carbonato nasa plane, so yung H nasa kabila, itong H nasa towards the front. Kagaya ng nasa ball and stick mode. Ganun yun. An alkane with 3 carbon atom known as profane. Yeah. Line structure, condensed structure, 3D representation, ball stick model. Now, habang dumadami yung number of carbon atoms, there are different ways on how to draw them. But still, they represent the same molecule. Say for example here, with profane, meron na tayong 3 carbon atom dyan. So, pwedeng ganito, in a row yung structure natin for propane, or pwedeng ganito, embedded structure. But still, it's an alkane with 3 carbon atoms. So this condensed structure both represents propane pa rin. Kaya lang, as we move further, pag nagdadagdag pa tayo ng more carbon atoms in our alkane structure, let's say for the case of butane, meron na tayong 4 na carbon atom. So, pwede natin siyang i-draw in a different way, di ba? Pero, they would have the same molecular formula, di ba? Yung nabanggit ko kanina, na they have 4 carbon atoms and then 4 carbon atoms and then 10 hydrogen atoms in the structure. Pero pag di-drawing natin ng sa iba't ibang paraan, let's say here. So, imbes na chain, tapos yung isang carbon nasa gitna. So, nagkakaroon tayo ng 2 different structures. 2 different structures, pero the same molecular formula. Yung isa, this is called isobutane. Eto, butane. Parehong molecular formula nila na C4H. Ilan yung H? 2 times 4, 8 plus 2, 10. Parehong butane and isobutane would have the same molecular formula. Kaya lang, they do have different structure. Isobutane, and this is just butane. And this, pag yung compound na yun would have different structures but would have the same molecular formula, tinatawag silang isomers. And specifically, tinatawag na constitutional isomers because they differ in the way the atoms are connected to each other. Another example here is the 2 different arrangement of atoms of compound molecular formula C2H6O. One is an ethanol, which is an example of alcohol, and the other one is an ether. Okay, kung mapapansin nyo, this is a functional group for alcohol, OH. This is a functional group for ether, ROR. Yan. Ang dalawang ito, compound na to, do have the same molecular formula, C2H6O. Kaya lang magkaibang chemical na sila because of their functional group. This is an alcohol, this is an ether, and they are called constitutional isomers. Constitutional isomers. Okay, so here's an example exercise. Tell me whether the following are constitutional isomers or not. So, criteria natin is they have molecular formula is the same, and then different structure. Yeah. Let's have letter A. So letter A, looking at the structure itself, papansin nyo na magkaiba ng structure. Just check na natin yung isang criterion. Next, molecular formula. For compound, this compound, C, ilan? We have 3. H, we have ilan? 8. Pangalawa, we have C3. H ilan? 3, 4, 5, 6. Are they the same? Not. So, di sila isomers. Example B. We have 1, ilang C? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Ay, 3 lang pala. 3. H 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, 4, 8. N ilan? 1. Or tanggalin natin yung 1. How about yung isa? C ilan? 3. H ilan? 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. N ilan? Isa. Tama ba? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ay, 9 pala to. Sorry. 9. Ayan. Meron ba silang kaparehong formula? Yes, check. Meron bang magkaiba bang structure? Yes, check. So this is tanan. Yan. Tanan. So this is an isomer. This is not a constitutional isomer. Yan. Good. Yan. So the two compounds have the same molecular explanation. Two compounds have the same number of C's but different number of H, so they have different molecular formulas. So these compounds are not isomers for set A. For set B, they both have the same molecular formula, but they have different structures, so they are considered constitutional isomers. Now let's get to know the other alkanes having more than 5 carbon atoms. So yung alkane with 5 carbon atom are known as pentane. Penta, maalala nyo, pentagon. Ilang side yung pentagon? 5. Penta means 5. So an alkane with 5 carbon atom is known as pentane. Pentane. Yan. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ilang H meron? C5H, 12. Now, for this type of alkane, 5. So it has several isomers. Yan. Can be written this way or this way. These two, neopentane and isopentane, are called constitutional isomers. They have the same molecular formula but different structures. Yan. So from 5, we have we have an alkane with 6 carbon atom, hexane, 7, 7. We have heptane, diba? Penta, pentene, penta, hexa, hepta, octa, nona, and then deca. Diba? So we have pentane for 5, hexane for 6, heptane for 7, octane for 8, nonane for 9, decane for 10. Undecane is 11. How about 12? Dodecane. Yan. Let's have yung simple muna. We have the 10. Our carbon atoms can be classified also as primary, secondary, tertiary, or quaternary. A carbon atom can be classified as primary if it's bonded to only one carbon atom. Ganito siya. Pag dalawa, carbon here, is secondary, bonded to 2 carbon atom. Tertiary, 3. 1, 2, 3. Quaternary, 4. Bonded to 4 carbon atoms. Yan. So this is a primary carbon atom. How about here? Secondary. How about here? 1, 2, 3. Tertiary. How about here? Quaternary carbon. So for alkanes, the structure do rotate along the bond itself. So rotation occurs, especially they have only single bond. So those the skeletal structures can rotate. Then the rotation occurs between single bonds or between carbon-carbon atoms. Yan, umiikot sila mga ganyan. So when they rotate, they actually they rotate in such that they will have the most stable arrangement. But then just take note that when they rotate and they found the most stable arrangement of the atoms, they move towards less crowding. Kumbaga, well-spaced yung mga atoms within the compound. Yan. So this is not good. This is not stable. Halimbawa, they expel each other, and then they form this more stable one. So in the organic field, so di natin laging isusulat yung buong condensed structure ng isang carbon atom, lalo na kung yung alkane group natin or organic compound natin would have longer than 10 carbon chains. So we use the what we call zigzag skeletal structure, or we call this line. We call this line structure. Yan. Because line. Sa line structure na yan, line. Yung line means the bond. And each edge would mean carbon. And then, yung H will not be represented. Yan. So, kung may line kang methane, ganyan lang. No. Yung methane, simple lang, di ba, isa? Ayan. Pag dalawa, so isang carbon, one carbon, second carbon. Pag tatlo, propane. Pag tatlo, get natin dito. Pag tatlo, 1, 2, 3. Pag apat, 1, 2, 3, 4. Paano pag lima? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yan, siyempre, pag nag-drawing tayo, mas maayos. 1, 2, 4, 6. So that is 1, 2, 1, 5, 6, 7. So this is heptene. Diba? This line structure. Pag nagdo-drawing tayo, let's say we like to describe this is the alkane we are referring to, so we just use the zigzag skeletal structure or line structure to represent the alkane, lalo na pag mahaba yan. We don't use this condensed structure for convenience. Now, since nakilala natin yung mga alkane from the simplest to the alkane containing 10 carbon atoms, now it's time for us to know how to name them, and we will just introduce you the IUPAC nomenclature rule. IUPAC is International Union for Pure and Applied Chemistry, so they set rules and naming these organic compounds para lahat ng mga chemists in the world who will understand each other when they name such compound. Galing sa Pilipinas man yan, galing sa Korea, Japan, and so on. So meron tayong structure in naming. So we have prefix plus the parent and the suffix. Yung prefix simply would be the substituents, and usually these are alkyl group. And then the parent is the longest chain in the carbon chain, and then the suffix since ane or the functional group for alkane with single bonds between carbon atoms. Yeah. Functional group. So this time alkane, so our suffix is ane. Now let's try. Okay, let's try naming the first one. Before we name the nomenclature, the alkanes, let's try naming the substituents. Pag sinabi nating substituents, these are the alkyl group or alkyl. Ayan. Papakilala ko sa inyo yung mga alkyl groups. Yan. Or mga atoms, elements, band. Pag sinabi nating alkyl, alkane siya na kulang ng isang hydrogen. Kasi, yung bond na yon nakiband sa whole structure of the chain. Kumbaga sa methane, tanggalin mo yung isa, so available na yung bond na yun for bond with others, call it methyl. Hindi na siya methane. Methyl. Pag dalawa naman, di ba, ethane. Remove one each kasi that means it will be used for bonding. Ethyl na siya. Okay? So that's substituents. So here are some common alkyl substituents. With 1 carbon atom, methyl, 2 carbon atom, ethyl, propyl, 3, butyl, 4, 5, ethyl. 6, hexyl. Step 1. Paano ba ang pangalanan yung mga alkane na to? Step 1, hanapin the parent chain. Ang parent chain, yun yung pinakamahaba na chain sa isang carbon structure. Carbon chain. Ito. So, usually binibigay ito or itong line structure. So, magbibilang tayo ng pinakamahaba. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, itong mismong to, 6. How about the other way around? So, dito meron tayong we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Itong mismong chain na to, 6 yan. Para sa kabila, palitan natin. Kasi hanapin natin yung pinakamahaba. Simula ulit tayo dito. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. O, either way, pareho lang naman. So, 6 yung pinakamahaba. Hindi rin naman pwedeng ito. Ito. 1, 2, 3. Masyadong maiksi. So, pinakamahaba ay 6. So, either ang pinakamahaba natin is ito, ang pinakamahaba natin ay yung 6 carbon chain. Yan. So, 6. Yan, pwedeng ganyan. Next, number the atoms in the carbon chain to give the first substituent the lower number. Ayan. Since ang longest chain natin, let's say, ito na nasa baba, di ba? So, susulatan na natin, ano ba? Itong longest chain natin ay ito. Yan. So, saan tayo magsisimula? Dito ba? Or dito? Ang sabi, number the atoms in the carbon chain to give the first substituent the lowest number. Asan yung substituent natin? Itong group na to. Anong tawag? Isa. Isang carbon atom. Ang tawag ay methyl. Yan. So, kung dito tayo nagbilang, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, yung methyl natin nasa 5th carbon. Nakuha ba yun? Kung dito tayo magsisimula, 1, 2, 3. Kung dito tayo sa right side magsisimula. Dito, right side. Ito ba? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fifth carbon, nandun yung methyl na first substituent natin, wala naman ng iba. Kaya lang, pag nagsimula tayo dito sa kabila, dito, sa left side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yung first substituent natin, methyl, for this example, is on the second carbon. So, ano yung lowest? 5 or 2? Correct. 2. So, ibig sabihin, magsisimula tayo magbilang dito. Start. Gets? Yan, delete natin to. Next slide. Now, alam na natin magbilang. So yan, paano pag dalawa? Yan, diba kanina isa lang. Now, dalawa. Bilang natin. Longest chain. Hanapin natin yung longest chain. So, tingin ko. 1, 2. 5 pa rin to. 5 pa rin yan. 6. Yan pa yung longest chain natin. 6. Now, meron tayong ilang substituents. 1, 2. Anong pangalan? Methyl. Pag magbibilang tayo, saan yung pinakamalapit na substituent? Dito ba? Or dito? Exactly dito. Start. Tama? So, ibig sabihin, ang bilangan natin ay 1, 2, 5, and 6. Yan. So, ano ng pangalan? Okay, first example natin. Diba ganito yun? 6. Pangalan is substituent, parent, suffix. Pagdudugtungin mo lang lahat. So, ibig sabihin, ito ay pangalan nun, methyl. Sa IUPAC nomenclature, ilalagay natin kung yung location ng substituents using numbers. So, nasaan yung methyl? 2. So, 2 dash 2. Sorry. So, substituent first, 2. Methyl. Then, parent. Parent is carbon with 6. Alkane with 6 carbon. Hexane. Yan, galing. O, diba? How about the second one? Sa second one, hexane pa rin yung pinakamahaba. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Kaya lang, meron tayong dalawang methyl group. Pag mayroon tayong dalawang magkaparehong substituent, gagamit tayo ng prefixes that will tell us kung ilang meron. Di ba meron? Pero hindi na pag isa mono, hindi na tayo gamitin yung mono. Pag dalawa is di. Pag tatlo, tri. Pag apat, tetra. Pag lima, penta. Pag anim, hexa. Pag 7, hepta. Pag 8, octa. Pag 9, nona. Pag 10, deca. Yan. So, paano yung pangalan ng second? With 2 methyl. Nasaan yung unang methyl? 2. So, pag nagsulat ka ng ganyan, yung number niya magkakasunod din. 2. Saan yung isa pa? 3. Tama. So, tama, 3. And then, dash. Ilang methyl meron? 2. So, di-methyl 6. Hexene. Sir, pwede bang 2-methyl, 3-methyl hexane? Hindi pwede. Kailangan magsama yun. Yung gagamit ka ng prefix na di. Kasi masyado na mahabang pangalan. Hindi. Mali yun. Hindi yun ganun yung rule. Okay? Paano, sir, pag hindi ko nilagay yung isang number na 3, pero gumamit ako ng di, mali pa rin. So, kung iba nakabasa, bakit 2-dimethyl? Nasaan yung isang methyl? O, diba? Yan. So, kung nasaan yung number, comma, pag dalawa. And then, di, and then the prefix, and then the substituent, and then the parent chain. Let's have more examples. Try to name this alkane. First is find the longest chain. Nahanap na ba? Saan tayo magsisimula? So, simula natin. Siyempre, ito na yung mga mga substituent natin. So, on this side tayo magsisimula magbilang. So, 1, 2, 3. Pag pumunta tayo doon, 4 independent. So, 4, 5, 6, 7. Anong pangalan nun? Parent chain natin, heptane. Good. Now, nasaan yung anong pangalan nung tawag dito? Alkyl group natin o substituents. Isang carbon lang, so ang tawag sa kanila ay methyl. So, ano ang pangalan ng buong compound ngayon? Nasaan sila? 3. So, ang pangalan? 3 di kasi dalawa. 1, 2. Heptane. Tama ba? Mali. May mali. Bakit? Kasi sabi natin kanina dun sa rule, yung number will tell us kung nasaan yung location nung alkyl group na yung substituent natin na yun. Pag di, tapos pareho yung number kung saan silang carbon, gagamit ka lang ba ng isang 3 or dalawa? Ang tama, gamit ka ng dalawa. So, tamang sagot ay 3, 3 dimethyl heptane. So, pag nakita mong 3 yun, may dalawang methyl sa 3. Kaya di. Heptane kasi yung pinakamahaba. Kuha ba? Yan. Second example naman tayo. Subukan yung pangalanan sa inyong notebook. Mag-number na. Saan tayo magsisimula? Left, right. So, kung dito tayo magsisimula, kasi ito yung isang kung dito tayo magsisimula sa line na to, ito yung pinakamalapit na ito yung pinakamalapit na substituent. Tama? Bilangin natin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Paano pag maganon? Pataas. Pag ganyan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lang. Pag pababa naman, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lang. So, pinakamahaba, 8. Yung green. Yan. Green. So, pag nahanap na yung main group natin, hanapin natin yung substituents. Ito yung first, pangalawa, pangatlo. Meron tayong tatlo. Ang pangalan ng isa ay, pangalan nito, methyl. Ito, tatlo. Tatlong carbon. Ilan? Pangalan? Propyl. Ito, dalawa lang. Ethyl. Yan. So, paano yung pangalan? Siyempre sa dulo niyan, anong pangalan ng E? Carbon containing alkane. Octane. Very good. Ano yung dudugtong natin? Anong maunang pangalan? Methyl ba? Kasi yun yung una. 3-methyl, 4-propyl, 4-ethyl. Okay. Ano sa tingin nyo? Okay, pangalanan natin. So, 3-methyl, 4, hindi mo na. Propyl, 4-ethyl, octane. Tama ba? Sa tingin nyo? Pinangalanan yung substituents with the number and then last yung parent chain. Tama kaya? Mali. Pag ganito na po yung natin, substituents natin, magkakaiba, di ba? Tatlo magkakaiba. So, sinong unahin natin? Although una tayong nagbilang ay dito sa pinakamalapit na substituents, hindi natin ibig sabihin unahin si methyl. Pag ganito, una nung babanggitin yung first in the alphabetical arrangement ng pangalan. Okay, ano yung mga substituent natin? Ethyl, propyl, methyl. Kung i-alphabetically arrange nyo siya sa first letter ng pangalan, sinong mauuna? Di ba mauuna si ethyl? Pangalawa si sino? A, B, C, D, E, F. Susunod. Methyl, propyl. Tama. Methyl. Sunod. Select na. Delete ko lang ha. Ethyl. Una. And then methyl. And then propyl. Tama ba? Tama? Tama. So, ang tamang sagot ay, nasan si ethyl? 4. 4. Ethyl. 4. Ay. Methyl. 3. Methyl. 4. Propyl, octane. Yung tamang sagot. Nagets ba? So, pag meron na tayong iba't ibang substituents, yung pagbanggit ng pangalan ay alphabetically arranged. Pero yung number pa rin nila as is pa rin, yung unang rule. Magna-number ka sa unang pinakamalapit na substituent. Gets? Ulitin nyo na lang yung video na to, hindi nyo na-gets ulit. Next. Okay, down to our last example. Masyado bang mahirap? Madali lang yan. Basta i-follow nyo lang yung rule. Unang hanapin ay yung longest chain, with the parent chain. So, saan tayo unang magsisimula? So, usually, dito naman tayo sa left. So, let's start from here. So, 1, 2, 3. If we go down, we have 4 and 5. So that's not the longest chain anymore. So we continue counting towards the right. 4, 5, 6, 7. Kahit pababa man tayo, 6, 7, pwede naman. But then, we just use the upper part. Yan, so you have that, 6 and 7. Now, how many substituents do we have? Dalawa. One containing 3 and the other one containing 2 carbon. Pag nagbilang ba tayo dun sa closest first substituent? Yes. 3. Pag doon, 3 pa rin. Pag dito naman tayo nag-start, 3 pa rin naman. Anong pangalan ng substituent? First, this one is carbon atom with substituent or alkyl group with 3 carbon atoms. So, tawag yan propyl. Pero kung mapapansin nyo, yung carbon atom natin sa third carbon atom is bonded on the center. Center carbon atom ng propyl. So, gagamit tayo ng prefix that will indicate na nasa center atom yun. Kaya tayo ng prefix na iso. So, ang pangalan niyan is isopropyl. Dito naman, 2 carbon atom, second substituent. Pangalan niya ay ethyl. So, anong tamang sagot? Alam na? So, I heard it right. Ang tamang sagot ay 5. Ethyl. Diba? Alphabetical arrangement. E comes earlier than P. So, 3. Pangalan, hep. Parent chain, heptane. So, tanong. So, sa alphabetical arrangement ng mga substituents, ang susundan ko ba I or P sa isopropyl? Tamang sagot. Ang susundan mo, pag gumamit ka ng prefix, yung P pa rin. I-disregard nyo yung kung ano man yung simula ng prefix. Okay? So, kung may prefix doon, ang susundan nyo pa rin ay yung P at hindi yung prefix. Okay? So, nagkataon, E and P. Which comes earlier? E. Okay? Later yung P. Tama? So, ang tamang sagot, 5-ethyl, 3-isopropyl heptane. Nakuha ba? Kung hindi nasundan ang naming ng alkanes using the IUPAC rule, pwede nyo ulitin yung mga examples natin sa video na to. Maraming salamat! Thank you!